So we'll get started in whatever position is most comfortable for you. You can sit on a prop. I'm sitting on a little cushion. You could sit on a chair or a couch if you'd like. Most importantly, let's try to ground equally through both sitting bones. So both sides of the body are heavy, and you can sit up long and tall through the spine. Lifting up through the crown of the head and then softening the shoulders down. Let's take a moment to close our eyes, turning attention inwards. And allow the body to start to settle into the shape you've chosen. And as you said, take some time to become a bit more aware of your breathing. Noticing how the body feels as you inhale and exhale. Noticing how the body moves as you breathe in and out. If you notice that your breath is a bit shallow, maybe you're breathing only into the upper chest, you feel the shoulders moving a lot. Or if your breath is a little bit fast, try drawing the next inhale a little bit deeper into the body and slow it down just a bit. As you inhale, imagine the air traveling all the way down the length of the spine, filling up first the lungs and then allowing the belly to rise. And as you exhale, let the belly soften. Allow that air to travel all the way back up and out. Really taking your time, allowing yourself to fill up completely and empty completely. Once you've found a rhythm of breath that feels comfortable and sustainable, something a little bit deeper and slower than usual, but nothing uncomfortable, and start to invite a little bit of movement back into the body, maybe gently wiggling fingers and wiggling toes. Circling wrists and ankles, turning the head from side to side. And let's bring it back to stillness. We'll make our way up onto our hands and our knees, finding a tabletop position. Moving any props off to the side, out of the way. Allowing the hands to be about shoulder distance apart and knees about hip distance apart. Toes can be flat on the floor, or you can tuck them under if you prefer. We'll move through a few rounds of cat and cow to start to warm up the spine. As we inhale, dropping the belly low, drawing the shoulders back and looking forward. And then as we exhale, rounding the spine, spreading the shoulders and looking back to the knees, pressing the floor away. We'll go back and forth between those two, using the inhale to lengthen the front of the body and exhale to lengthen the back of the body. As you inhale, focus on drawing the shoulder blades together and back, allowing the chest to press through the arms. And as you exhale, really press the floor away, finding some space between the shoulders, letting the head drop down, lengthening the neck. Let's do one more of each inhale and exhale. And then we'll come back to find a neutral spine. From here, on an inhale, let's sweep the left arm up towards the ceiling, opening the body out towards the left side. And as we exhale, we'll drop that left hand back down. Inhaling, reaching the left arm up and opening towards the left side. And then exhaling, dropping that hand back down. And last one, inhale, reach all the way up, Open out to the left. This time as we exhale, we'll sweep the left arm behind the right wrist, plant the left shoulder down and allow the head to come down softly. You can let your right arm rest as it is, or if you'd like, you can walk those right fingertips out towards the top of the mat, lengthening along the right side of the body. We'll pause here for a couple of breaths, making sure there's no pressure on the head or the neck. Maybe feeling a stretch through the left shoulder blade, down along the left side of the body. And if the right arm is lengthened, the fingertips are reaching forward, maybe feeling that stretch along the right side of the body as well. In this pose, the hips have a tendency to sway off towards the right. See if you can draw them back towards the center so they're square. Take one or two more slow, deep breaths. And then we'll come all the way back up into our tabletop position, taking your time, finding a neutral spine and pausing there. Taking an inhale and exhale. And then we'll move to the other side. As we inhale, sweep the right arm out to the right side, up and open. As we exhale, we'll drop that right hand back down. Inhaling, we'll reach all the way up. And exhaling, drop it back down. Last one, inhale, really focus on opening the body towards the right side. This time as we exhale, we'll sweep the right hand behind the left wrist, plant the right shoulder down and allow the head to come down softly. You can allow the left arm to relax as it is, or you can walk those left fingertips forward, lengthening all along the left side of the body. Breathing into the right shoulder blade, again, making sure that your head is resting just gently, no pressure on the neck. And when you're ready, releasing, we'll come all the way back to tabletop, again, moving slowly, taking your time, finding that neutral spine. Breathing in and breathing out. And from here, we'll take a child's pose. Walking the knees about mat distance apart, we'll untuck the toes and sit the hips back towards the heels. So if you need a little bit of extra support under your hips, you can place a block or a bolster there. If you're comfortable as you are, you can walk your arms out in front of you onto the mat, coming down, bringing your upper body towards the mat. Arms can be really straight or they can be bent to start off with. Try to find a little bit of ease in this pose, allowing the hips to soften down, allowing the upper body to release. Taking a moment to breathe, focusing on the back of the body, feeling the back of the rib cage opening and expanding as you inhale, and then softening as you exhale. And if you're not there already, let's walk the arms out in front of us, really straighten them, reaching the fingertips forward, finding a little bit of a stretch along both sides of the body, maybe through the underarms, through the shoulder blades, and keep anchoring the hips down and back. We'll take a couple of breaths here. And then let's walk the right hand over towards the left hand, planting it either beside or on top of that left hand. Keep the right hip anchoring down and find a bit of a deeper stretch along the right side of the body. Breathing into that right side body and then allowing yourself to soften down. And then we'll switch sides. So right arm comes up and walks out to the top of those right fingertips. Continuing to stay heavy through the left hip. And breathing fully in and out. Good, let's walk the hands all the way back to center and we'll come up into our tabletop here, bringing the knees back underneath of the hips. This time we'll tuck the toes under, Let's move the hands forward just one hand distance. So if you can imagine placing your hands just one hand amount in front of where they currently are. Tuck the toes under, we'll press the hips up and back and lift up into downward facing dog. Spreading the fingers nice and wide, gripping down through the fingertips. You can bend your knees if you want to. You can take turns bending your knees, extending and then bending. Wherever you are, let's focus on lifting the hips up and back, really pressing the floor away. Finding a gentle stretch along the backs of the legs. Taking a nice slow breath in, slow breath out. And then gently we'll start to walk the feet up towards the top of the mat, taking your time, taking really nice small steps. Until you make your way into a forward fold. So again, the knees can be bent. Want the belly to rest on the thighs so the upper body can relax. Let the head hang heavy. Maybe nod the head yes or shake the head no to release any tension from the neck. And then we'll bend the knees even deeper, sweep the arms out to the sides, and we'll come all the way up to standing, reaching those arms up overhead. Let's allow the palms to meet, and then we'll draw the hands down to heart center. Either leaving the hands at heart center or extending them down at the sides. We'll pause here, finding equal weight between both feet, equal weight between front and back of the foot. Pressing down into the ball of the foot and the heel, allowing the toes to be light, the inner arch to be lifted. As we inhale, let's focus on getting a little bit taller, reaching up, lifting out through the crown of the head. And as we exhale, we'll focus on grounding down. Good, let's bring the hands onto the hips. From here, we'll slide the right foot back behind us, keeping the heel lifted and the toes pointing forwards. We'll find a high lunge. So this is going to look different depending on how flexible you are, how strong you're feeling. What we want to focus on here is having the hips squared towards the front of the mat. So if you need to step your right foot a little bit wider to let that right hip move forward, go for it. We want the left knee stacking over the left ankle. So if you feel like your knee is pushing forward, see if you can take a little bit of a wider stance. Step back with your right foot. You want to be able to feel strong and tall, lifting up out of the hips, crown of the head reaches up, and we want to be able to press back through the right heel. So as we inhale, we lift up, get a little bit taller, and as we exhale, press down through the right ball of the foot and through the ball of the foot and the heel on the left side. You can choose to stay with hands on the hips. You can bring your hands together in front of heart center, or you can extend them up overhead, either shoulder distance apart or palms touching. We'll breathe in, lift up. And breathe out, bring the hands all the way down onto the ground. We'll step back to our downward facing dog once again. Taking a couple of slow inhales and exhales, lifting hips up and back. And then we'll take those tiny baby steps all the way up to the top of the mat. Finding a forward fold, Uttanasana. Feet can be together or about hip distance apart. Knees bend so the belly rests on the thighs. Head hangs heavy, releasing any tension from the neck. And then let's bend the knees deep, sweep the hands out to the sides. We'll come all the way up to standing, reaching hands up overhead, and then exhaling down to heart center. So again, here you can leave hands at heart center or you can bring them down to your sides. Focusing on finding a sensation of strength, of stability. Lifting up tall with each breath in. And finding a deeper grounding with each breath out. Good, let's take hands onto hips. From here, we'll slide the left foot back behind us, again, keeping the heel lifted, toes pointing forwards. And some of the things that we want to focus on are having hips and shoulders squared towards the top of the mat. So if you find you're opening out to the left side, see if you can step that left foot a little bit wider. We want the right knee tracking over the right ankle. So again, adjusting the distance between your feet to make that happen. If you feel like your knee is shifting forward, try drawing your left heel back a little bit. And if you feel like you're not quite in that 90-degree angle, try to take a smaller stance. Once you found the optimal position for you, maybe there's a little bit of a stretch along the front of the left hip, but nothing too intense. You might feel some action in the right quad, right hamstrings. Find our breath, either leaving hands on the hips, bringing them together in front of the heart, or extending them up overhead, either shoulder distance apart or hands together. Nice deep breath in, lift up. Deep breath out, ground down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, ground down. Okay, let's release the hands all the way down onto the ground. We'll step back to our downward facing dog. Lifting those hips up and back, really pressing into the floor. Good, we'll take those small steps back up to the top of the mat. Finding our forward fold just for a moment. And then as we inhale, we'll bend the knees, sweep the hands out to the sides, come all the way up to standing. Allowing palms to meet up overhead, we'll exhale, drawing them down to heart center. From here, let's bring hands onto the hips. We'll do something slightly different. This time we're going to move into a warrior one. So we'll take the right foot, slide it back behind us, but not quite as far. And instead of leaving the right heel lifted, we're going to drop that heel down and turn the right toes out towards the top right corner of the mat. So we want the same sort of positioning for the hips and the front knee. So again, if you need to step that right foot a little bit wider, take it out towards the side of the mat so your hips can face towards the front. Go for it. And then find that optimal distance between your feet so that you feel a little bit of a stretch along the back leg, nothing too intense. And your left knee is able to stack over your left ankle. So it could be a really short stance, could be a really long stance, whatever works for you in this moment. Once you've found it, we'll extend our arms up overhead. Hands can be shoulder distance apart or they can be touching. If you bring your hands together a touch, see if you can lift your gaze a little bit. Come into a slight back bend in the upper body. Breathe in, reach up. Breathe out, ground down, lunge into that left knee. Good, let's release the hands down onto the ground. We'll turn those right toes to face forward and slide them back a little bit further. And then step back to our downward facing dog. Pressing the floor away, lifting hips up and back. A reminder, if you ever need a break and you don't feel like taking downward dog, you can always come into that child's pose that we did earlier. Knees down, mat distance apart, upper body relaxing down. Doing whatever you need in this moment. Good, when you're ready, we'll take small steps up to the top of the mat, finding our forward fold. Allowing the upper body to release. As we inhale, we'll bend the knees, sweep the hands out to the sides, come all the way up to standing. Reaching arms up overhead and then exhaling, drawing them down to heart center. We'll bring our hands onto our hips. And we'll do the warrior one on the other side. So sliding the left foot back behind us. This time we're going to plant the heel down and turn the toes open to the sides. You can see as I do that, my body opens out to the left side of the mat. I want to square my hips and shoulders towards the front. I can't quite do that with the position I've chosen. So I'm going to step my left foot a little bit wider and a little bit closer to the top of the mat. Now my hips and shoulders can face comfortably towards the front. And I can bend the right knee over the right ankle. There's a little bit of a stretch along the back of my left leg, but nothing that's too intense. I feel grounded, I feel strong. Once you found that position, you can leave your hands on your hips, or you can extend them up overhead. Again, hands could be shoulder distance apart, or they could be touching. Breathe in, reach up. Breathe out, ground down, lunge into the left, right knee. Breathe in, lift up. Exhale, ground down. Now let's release the hands onto the hips. We're going to take a slightly different transition. Let's turn those left toes out to the side and walk them a little bit further back. So now we're setting up for our warrior two. We want the two heels in line with one another. Still bending into the right knee, so it's stacking over the right ankle. This time our body's going to face towards the side of the mat. We'll take our arms out over our legs. So one towards the front of the mat, one towards the back. And then if it's comfortable for your neck, look over your right fingertips. Adjusting if you need to so that there's a comfortable distance between your legs. Both legs feel active. You can lunge into your right knee, stacking over the right ankle. Shoulders are over the hips. We'll draw the shoulder blades together, spread the fingers nice and wide. Breathe in, lengthen up, reach up. Breathe out, round down. You can stay here in stillness, or if you'd like, on your next inhale, drop your left hand down, turn your right palm up and reach those right fingertips up towards the ceiling, exalted warrior. And then exhale, bring it back to warrior two. Keep that lunge in the right knee. Inhale, exalted warrior. Exhale, warrior two. And again, inhale, exalted warrior. Exhale, warrior two. Let's bring our hands onto our hips. We're going to straighten out the right leg and turn those right toes to face the side of the mat, just like the left. Take a nice deep breath in, lift up tall. As we exhale, let's push the hips back, hinge at the hips and lean forward, coming into a wide angle forward fold. If you need some extra support between your hands, you can place a block there. You can hold onto a piece of furniture, a couch or chair. Breathing into any sensation that you find along the backs of your legs. And never bending deeper than is comfortable for you. So you want to find that edge where maybe there's a little bit of sensation, but nothing too uncomfortable. You could sustain this position for a long period of time. We're not going to, but that sort of feeling that you could hold it for a long time. And we'll take a couple of slow, deep breaths. And when you're ready, we'll bend the knees slightly, walk the hands up, the legs coming all the way back upright. And then we're going to turn those left toes towards the back of the mat. So we're taking our warrior two on the other side. Let's bend the left knee over the left ankle and adjust the distance between your feet if you need to. Your heels can be sort of along the same line on the mat. You could also line up your left heel with your right arch if that's more comfortable. So adjusting however you need. We want about a right angle over the left ankle. We want the body facing comfortably towards the side of the mat so we can extend our arms out over the front and back leg. If it's comfortable for your neck, look over your left fingertips. If not, you can look in whatever direction is preferable for you. Let's draw the shoulder blades together and spread the fingers nice and wide, finding some energy through the arms. Keep bending into that left knee. And if you notice your left knee comes in when you're in this pose, try actively drawing it open. From here, you can stay in stillness, or you can inhale, coming into exalted warrior, dropping the right hand, lifting the left. And exhale back to warrior two. We'll do that 2 more times, inhaling, reaching up. And exhaling, releasing arms parallel to the ground. Last one, inhale, reach up. And exhale, warrior two. Good, hands come to hips once again. Let's straighten out through the left leg, turn those left toes to face the same way as the right. Heels should be a little bit wider than the toes. We'll inhale, lift up tall. Exhale, press the hips back into the hips and lean forward. Wide ankle forward fold. Keep drawing the shoulder blades together and down on the back. We want the spine to be long and tall, neutral spine. Focusing the stretch along the backs of the legs. You can stay in stillness here, or if you'd like a little bit of a twist, take your left hand down in front of your face. As we inhale, we'll reach the right hand up, opening towards the right side. Take a nice deep breath in. And exhale, we'll switch, drop the right hand down. Inhale, left hand up towards the ceiling. Exhale, drop it down. Now let's bend the knees a little bit. We'll walk the hands all the way back up, the legs coming upright. And then we'll heel toe the feet together. Coming to find a place. So if your mat's really cushy, you might step off the ground, especially if you have your mat on top of carpet. You want to find somewhere that you can get firm footing. If you're unsteady on your balance, you might want to come near a wall so you have some options for support. We're going to come into a balancing pose. Once you found that position that works for you, we want the feet about hip distance apart. We want to press down through the ball of the foot and the heel, just as we did in our mountain pose at the beginning. Let's lift the shoulders up, draw them back and down, broadening the chest, collarbone. And then look in front of you And find something that's not moving that you can gaze at. Something you can focus and sort of tune out the rest of the space. Once you found that focal point, which is known as drishti, bring our hands onto our hips. And we'll start to shift our weight over into the left foot, bending slightly through the left knee so there's a little bit of stability there. We'll turn the right knee open to the side, bringing the heel of the right foot just inside of the left ankle. Toes can stay on the ground at first. Keep focusing on that focal point in front of you. Keep your breath steady. And notice how you feel in the shape. Keep drawing the right knee open to the side. If you feel comfortable in your balance and you'd like to take it a step further, you could slide the right foot up inside of the left shin or up inside of the left thigh, either above or below the knee. Keep drawing that right knee open wherever you're at. Keep your gaze soft and focused. You can choose to leave your hands on your hips. You can bring them together in front of your heart, or you can extend them up overhead, whatever you prefer. This is known as tree pose, Vrikshasana. So the arms are like the branches of the trees. Breathing slow and steady, standing firm through the left leg. And when you're ready, releasing, bringing that right foot back down onto the ground. We'll take a moment to roll through wrists and roll through ankles, releasing any tension that built up there. And then we'll set up for the same pose on the other side. So again, starting with feet about hip distance apart. Nice comfortable stance. Ball of the foot and the heel are pressing down equally. The toes are light. Find that gaze point in front of you, something that's not moving. Let your gaze focus, let the edges start to blur. Bring our hands onto our hips. And then we'll start to shift our weight over into our right foot. Slight bend through the right knee. When you're ready, turn the left knee open to the side, bringing the heel just inside of the right ankle. Toes can touch down. Taking a moment to breathe. Focus your gaze. Stand strong and tall through the right leg. If you feel comfortable in your balance and you'd like to take it another step further, you can slide the bottom of your left foot up inside of your right calf or the right thigh, choosing whatever option works for you. Keep turning that left knee open to the side. A part of this pose is activating through the glute on the side that has the knee lifted, opening that leg out to the side, just like we did in our Warrior Two pose. Keep the shoulders soft, the gaze soft. And then if you'd like, you can bring your hands together in front of your heart or lift them up overhead. Breathing slow and steady. Gaze is soft, right leg is strong. Good, then we'll release everything all the way back down, taking a moment to roll through wrists, roll through ankles. From here, we'll take the feet about mat distance apart, so maybe a couple of feet in between them. Our toes are going to point open to the sides. Let's bring our hands together in front of our hearts. Take a nice deep breath in, lengthen up. As we exhale, we'll bend through the knees, dropping the hips down. So we're coming into a low squat, Malasana. If this isn't comfortable for you, you can skip it, or you can choose to support your hips with blocks, or again, you could use a piece of furniture for support. If it's really uncomfortable for you and you still want to experience the hip opener, you could take child's pose and take your knees nice and wide, settle into that. If you are in Malasana, we want to find a balance between the feet, so both heels and the balls of the feet are balancing down into the ground if possible. So if they want to lift, you could roll the edge of your mat and place your heels on that so you have something to ground into. The elbows are pressing into the knees to open the knees nice and wide. Spine is long and tall. Take a couple of slow, deep breaths here. And then gently and carefully place your hands behind you and lower all the way down onto the ground. From here, we'll find a final resting pose. So you could choose a seated position or you could choose Shavasana. If you're in Shavasana, you're laying on your back on your mat. Heels go to the top corners of the mat and toes fall open to the sides. So the legs are really relaxed. In either shape, we'll draw the shoulder blades down the back to find a little bit more openness through the chest and let the arms be soft at the sides. You can take up as much room or as little room as you need. So again, if you're laying on your back, your arms could be really wide or they could be in close to your body. And if you're seated, you could rest your hands on your legs. You could bring them together in front of you. Whatever really works for you. Take a moment to close the eyes, or if that's not comfortable, soften the gaze. Release the jaw open, let the tongue fall away from the roof of the mouth. Allow upper and lower teeth to separate from one another so there's a bit of space, a bit of softness. And let's release any expression from the face, really softening all the muscles of the face, letting the forehead relax, allowing the jaw to be slack. Let's take a moment here to tune into the breath. Feeling the breath filling up the body and then emptying out. Noticing if the breath feels any different than it did at the beginning of the class. A moment to scan through the body. Noticing any sensation that has developed through the class. If you come across any tightness, imagine that tightness just leaving the body with your next exhale. Allowing yourself to settle into whatever support is beneath you. Letting the body soften and release. Allowing yourself a few moments to just be. Giving yourself permission to stay in this moment, in this space. Allowing your body to absorb and integrate the practice. And then whenever you feel ready, there's no rush at all. Meet in a seated position. If you're in Shavasana, maybe taking the time to roll over to one side of the body first before coming up to a seated shape. If you'd like to stay in Shavasana for longer, you're more than welcome to do that. If you have made it to a seated position, gently blinking the eyes open, putting the hands together in front of the heart, sealing the outer edges of the palms and tips of the fingers in Anjali Mudra. I'd like to thank you for joining me and allowing me to guide you through this practice. From my light to yours, namaste.